okay, it's been literally about a month since I last filmed a video, but I felt like going on a little rant because I'm gonna jump straight into it. I was looking for a new wallpaper for my computer, and I was thinking about like things I like, obviously like animals, flowers, movies, and then I thought about The Perks of Being a Wallflower, which has been one of my favorite movies since I was young, because I watched it when I was around 10 years old, which is not a very good movie to watch at that age, but I did, and it's been one of my favorite movies since because I found it very impactful, and I also found the directing style to be very, and I kind of set a standard for me as like a teenager. But the thing that I took away from it the most was this one quote that goes, "We accept the love we think we deserve." And I think that definitely stuck with everyone. Like, you've probably heard it, even if you haven't watched the movie, through like TikTok, on Pinterest, Instagram, like anything. You've probably seen it on social media. If you haven't, I'm actually surprised, but I guess this is the first time you're hearing it now. But that quote, there is a debate online about it. Like, oh, is it fully true or is it fully untrue? That's a debate that a lot of people have, and I was looking on Reddit because I searched up that quote. I was just very interested, and I was thinking about myself, like, what do I think I deserve? What do majority of people think they deserve? I was just looking for people's opinions about it. And I saw a debate on Reddit 8 years ago, and it was like a thread about people talking about how they think that it's not completely true or not completely false at the same time. Like, it can apply, but it doesn't apply to certain things. But I'm going to talk about how I think that most of the time, if not almost completely of the time, it applies. And I'm going to talk about that by using personal experiences, vague ones, because I'm not going to go too into detail, is stuff from the movie, general stuff from the movie to not spoil, and also general examples just in society in general. So let's talk about my personal experiences. So for me, I wanted to look into mannerisms specifically, but for me, I think that the quote applies for me. And I think a lot of people feign ignorance to this quote because they don't really look at themselves as people. But what do I mean by that? In terms of mannerisms, for me, by looking at my own behavior from a different lens, like let's say I'm looking at this from like a third person perspective, I think very deeply, and sometimes I think that it's not the best. It's good to think deeply, but it's not good to overthink, and that's a bad habit that I have. But sometimes, because of that overthinking and because of that paranoia and anxiety, I forget to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. And maybe people can't find themselves relating to this quote because they don't look deep enough into themselves and their own mannerisms. And that's why I think mannerisms is very important to talk about, because that's what I think is most important to contribute to this quote, like in my opinion. So for me, if someone shows me love, let's say I make a new friend and they say like, oh, like they compliment me, like, oh, you're so smart, you're so pretty, and they say these things, and then we're like get really close as friends, we hang out, whatever, and those things will like give me like an energy surge. Like, I will like feel so happy and I'll feel so full of love. However, when I get paranoid or anxious about something that they do, like let's say like I make a mistake and then they start acting off, oh my god, that blissful feeling goes away instantly. Like, I forget about everything else except for that. And it goes for literally anyone, family, friends, and just people in general. For me in my life, I get anxious so easily about the tiniest things. I remember everything, and then I will usually talk about it, which is a good thing. Like, I'm pretty communicative, but I get paranoid super easily and I get anxious super easily about tiny things. And even if it's not intentional, I will remember it and then I'll ask about it. Like, it's just a big fear of mine that people don't like me. And I mean, I know that you can't please everyone. That's a fact. You can't please everyone. Not everyone's going to like you in life. But I do have that fear nonetheless. And I think that a lot of people have that fear and that need to please as many people as they can around them. But for me, it really isn't truly about pleasing people. It's about the people that I love, the people that have given me love, and then the fear from me that they're going to take it back instantly because of something that I do. But yeah, that's like a general explanation of, at least like for me. Because I have that fear, I will inevitably make actions that drive people close to me away. And now I'm going to correlate it back to the quote of accepting the love we think we deserve. When I was younger, Obviously, when you're young and you start making friends, like what, pre-K, you start making friends, you are young, you don't really think a lot about, like, I don't think I deserve love, blah, blah, blah. Because when I was 4, I wasn't really thinking about that. I was thinking about, like, unicorns, and then I was thinking about how making friends was normal, you know, like, everyone has friends. So that's kind of how I went into making friends when I was younger. However, obviously, as you get older, you start to develop the ability to think deeply and think critically, and that's like you're exposed to a whole different environment, especially after you enter high school. But the reason that I think that correlates is to that quote, because when I was younger, I went into making friends believing that I deserved love and that it was normal to have love in your life. And it is. But the older that I get, and the reason that I say actions directly are related to that quote is because you can accept all the love in your life and you can let that into your life. But if you don't feel like you deserve it, your actions will show that over time. And for me, in the present moment, because of a lot of things that have happened in my life, but just me in general, it's hard to feel deserving of love. And I get paranoid, I get anxious. I said that before. And especially when I'm making new friends, I get anxious, I get paranoid. If I think they're too good for me, I will be so careful around them because I don't want them to leave me, which is where the problem comes in, where I look too deeply into something, don't look at the big picture, and then it ends up driving them away. Because when something good comes into my life, I want to keep it, but the need to keep it is stronger than the need to be myself. And, ooh, food for thought. Is that the quote? No one can be exactly 100% to the T sure of what they want. You can't be exactly sure of what you want, but your actions are a way of showing it. And I feel like I developed a fear of being a bad friend because I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. And obviously, I'm living like approximately 60 more years of my life, let's say, and I'm going to continue to make mistakes. I'm going to continue to make friends, lose friends, get into relationships with people, and then get out of relationships with people, get into arguments, make mistakes, say the wrong things, blah, 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 blah. And over time, there's going to be more time for that fear to worsen or more time for the fear to improve. But because it's a fear that's further developing, I mean, I just hit the teenage age where you're probably making the most mistakes in your life. You're probably doing the worst stuff of your life and the most irrational things of your life. But because I have the fear of being a bad friend and hurting people that I love, it's kind of feels deeply rooted into me that I'm going to continue on that path in the future, trying to prevent it, trying to grow. That's the purpose of this video, to kind of rant about it and feel less alone. But because I've gone through so many experiences that have worsened that fear, and because, like I said, it's a further developing fear throughout the rest of my life, that will make me feel more undeserving of love. Because the more actions that I make, the more mistakes that I make that will drive more people away, I will feel so much more undeserving of love. Because let's say I lose a close friend of mine, or I'm in a relationship and then we end things off on a horrible note, and after that probably make me feel so horrible, probably make me feel like I can't make any more close friends, or I can't get into any more serious relationships because I'll end up driving people away. Like, I don't deserve this, I don't deserve this, I'm gonna keep on doing this and this and this. And that's how my severe anxiety plays into that, my fear, my bad habits. And I think that that's why, in a way, for me, that's how the quote applies, because we can accept all the love. We don't have to think we deserve it, but we can also feel like we deserve it. But ultimately, it's what happens after that really shows whether or not you really think you deserve it or not. Because I can gaslight myself all I want by saying that I think I deserve love, but I think everyone deserves love. But I can gaslight myself by saying that I fully think I deserve love, but then I will do something that drives people away, and that'll make me just, the bar will just get lower, is what I mean. But it's really about your actions. It's really about what you do. It's really about your habits. And if I made a really close friend, made a lot of mistakes, and then we stopped being friends, then, like, maybe in the beginning I wasn't thinking too hard enough about what I felt like I deserved, because now I feel like I don't deserve love. And what if I go through the rest of my life continuing on that? You know what I mean? it's kind of hard to explain, but I hope you relate if you do relate. Now, these are shorter ones, but in terms of like common examples in the world and also examples from the movie, this quote is said because it's talking about when Charlie is interested in Sam, but Sam is with someone else, and he says, "Why do nice people always choose the wrong people to date?" Something like that. And then Mr. Anderson says, "We accept the love we think we deserve." And for Sam, as a viewer, we think that she doesn't deserve the kind of love that she receives, and that Charlie can definitely give better. And he knows that too. But we never got an insider perspective of how Sam truly feels. Like, we don't really know how she feels. We never knew how she felt. And that's the part I think is most interesting, because I'm really interested to see how she felt. Just her sitting in her room and just thinking about things. Like, we never really got to see that. I mean, it wasn't the point of the movie, but it's something that I'm sort of interested in knowing. But that's just what I mean. It's like, in the movie's context, she accepts the love that she thinks she deserves because maybe she does have a fear of abandonment, or maybe she just wants someone to love her because she hasn't felt deserving of it her whole life. But the feeling of deserving love versus the feeling of getting it, or like just those two things on its own, those can't always work with each other, if you understand, because you can, like I said, you can feel undeserving and then accept, or you can feel deserving and then like push love away. It's very different. Everyone's different, but I think majority of it is true, and in that movie's context it's very true. And then the last thing I was thinking about, like on the surface, I think a lot of people when they're debating about this topic, they think mainly about toxic relationships where, let's say, someone accepts abusive behavior because they feel like they deserve it, or because of fear of abandonment, like I said about like Sam kind of. But like, that's why a lot of people have trouble coming to terms with it, because like I said, you can't be exactly sure of what you want, but you really have to look deeper into your own identity, because everyone deserves love, and it's hard to look into yourself and feel deserving of it. So I think that the debate going on the internet doesn't really clear up everything. And hopefully, at least by this point, it's starting to make more sense. But to conclude, I'm grateful that I can be real with myself to even give these examples, because I mean, it's hard to be vulnerable on the internet, but it's also hard to really think deeply about who you are as a person. So I'm grateful that I have the skill to do that. But yeah, this was sort of like a short rant. If you don't understand, I'm sorry. A cover will come out soon, I hope, after these come off. But yeah, love you all, and watch the movie, if you please. But there are some trigger warnings. Just search them up. But I recommend this movie. It's a pretty good movie. But yeah, I guess that's a quote of the day. We accept the love we think we deserve. So, genuinely, food for thought. You should think about that. What do you feel? What do you do that impacts that thought? Because that was the whole point of this video. The actions that I make that impact me feeling deserving of love. So just think about that. But yeah, love you so much. New videos coming soon, hopefully, because new semester started. But yeah,